In this video, we will answer the question, how do you multiply polynomials, part 2. So in part 1, we looked at taking a monomial times a binomial or a trinomial. And for example, this was something like this expression that we have here, where 5x cubed was our monomial that we distributed to each of those terms in the trinomial there. In part 2, we're going to take a binomial times a binomial. So that looks something more like this expression, where we need to figure out how to distribute two terms to each of the two terms in the second parenthesis there. So we have a binomial now that we're distributing, and notice that we have no symbol here, so we're going to multiply there. Let's take a look at how we're going to do that. So here we have negative 5x plus negative 6, and that quantity times the quantity x minus 4. So we need to make sure that each of these is distributed, each of the negative 5x and the negative 6 is distributed to both the x and the negative 4. So we'll start first by multiplying the terms that are alike. So we have negative 5x times x, which gives us negative 5x squared. We also then have negative 6 times negative 4, which gives us a positive 24. Now we allowed all of this space because it's not enough just to multiply the terms that are alike. We also need to multiply the negative 5x by the negative 4. And that gets us a positive 20x. And finally, we need to multiply negative 6 times x. And that gets us negative 6x. So here we have negative 5x squared plus 20x minus 6x plus 24. And this is the product of these two binomials. However, notice that 20x and 6x are like terms. They have the same variable raised to the same exponent. So we can combine those like terms. 20 minus 6 is 14. So our final trinomial here is negative 5x squared plus 14x plus 24. Let's take a look at a few more examples. Before we do that, though, we want to fill in this statement at the top here. Each term in the first polynomial, so this here is a polynomial, multiplies, so we're going to multiply it by each term in the second polynomial. So this is how everything is going to work for our next few examples. So let's simplify the quantity negative x plus 3 times the quantity 4x minus 6. So first we'll take the negative x times the 4x, which gets us a negative 4x squared. Then we take the 3 times the negative 6, which gets us a negative 18. Then we need to multiply the unlike terms. So negative x times negative 6, which gets us a positive 6x. And then 3 times 4x, which gets us positive 12x. Again, notice that you have like terms in the middle, so we can combine those, 6 and 12, to get 18. This is typically going to happen just about every time that you multiply. So we're going to need to make sure that we simplify from 4 terms to 3 terms whenever we possibly can. In our next example, we have negative 4x plus 6, and that quantity is being squared. But remember that anytime we square something, it's just taking whatever we're squaring and multiplying that by itself. So we can just rewrite this out again and then use the method that we have been using thus far. So we'll take the negative 4x times the negative 4x and multiplying our terms that are alike together. And that gets us a positive 16x squared, because a negative times a negative is positive. Then we multiply our constants, so 6 times 6, which is 36. And then multiply our unlike terms, so the negative 4x times 6, which is negative 24x, and 6 times negative 4x, which is negative 24x. Again, notice that you have like terms in the middle, so this will simplify to 16x squared minus 48x plus 36. Let's take a look here at 4x minus 4 quantity times the quantity 6x minus 6. So again, we will multiply our like terms. 4x times 6x is 24x squared. Negative 4 times negative 6 is a positive 24. And then we can multiply our unlike terms. So 4x times negative 6 is negative 24x, and negative 4 times 6x is also negative 24x. So here we can simplify this to 24x squared minus 48x plus 24. Another example here, we have the quantity negative 4x plus 3 being squared. Remember, anytime we square something, we can just write that out as whatever we're squaring times itself. So here we can then use the same approach that we've used thus far. Negative 4x times negative 4x is a positive 16x squared. Negative 4x positive 3 times positive 3 is positive 9. Negative 4x times positive 3 is negative 12x. And positive 3 times negative 4x is also negative 12x. So here we get a final answer when we simplify by combining those middle terms of 16x squared minus 24x plus 9.